It's kind of wild when you actually stop and think about how much time we spend trying to script literally every single waking moment of our lives. I mean, we live in a culture that basically worships at the altar of optimization. We've got our meticulous, color-coded schedules, our strict morning routines, our digital alarms going off all day. We literally map out exactly how the day, the week, or even the whole year is supposed to play out. And hey, there's a really profound psychological comfort in all that structure, right? We've conditioned ourselves to equate predictability with success, which means that any unmapped hour or any unexpected detour suddenly feels not just like a minor annoyance, but almost like a personal failure. We cling so fiercely to this illusion of control. But right on the other side of that perfectly crafted itinerary lies a massive, untamed, and frankly kind of terrifying concept for most of us: total chaos. So today, we're going to explore that fascinating friction between holding tightly to a solid plan and completely letting go when the universe just decides to rewrite your script without asking for permission. So what actually happens when it all falls apart? Let's dive right into this. Picture yourself right in the middle of a flawlessly planned day. You know exactly where you need to be, who you need to see, and exactly when you need to do it. And then, well, life happens. Traffic abruptly grinds to a halt on the highway. A super crucial morning meeting runs way over time. Or, as is so often the wildly frustrating case, you sprint onto the platform just in time to watch the glowing taillights of your train pull away. Boom. Right there, in that exact visceral second, your perfect schedule shatters. What does that feel like? It's that familiar, hot rush of mild panic that instantly floods your chest, isn't it? Your stomach totally drops. You let out that heavy, defeated sigh, or you just stand there staring blankly at the empty tracks. The plan is officially fallen apart, the illusion of control has totally evaporated, and you're suddenly forced into a reality that you definitely did not ask for. And immediately, your brain just goes into absolute overdrive trying to compensate. Psychologists actually talk about this, our profound human need for cognitive closure. Basically, our brains absolutely despise a vacuum of uncertainty. So step 1, you miss the train. Step 2 and 3, you instantly start performing intense mental gymnastics. Your pulse is racing, and you're rapidly mapping out all the immediate alternatives, running this frantic internal calculus. You're thinking, okay, maybe I can just grab a cab right now, but wait, how much is surge pricing going to cost me? Or let me frantically check the departure board. Can I catch the very next train? And if I do, exactly how many minutes late will I be? You are actively trying to wrestle a completely broken timeline back into submission. It's this high-energy scramble to fix the derailment as fast as humanly possible, just to patch the hole and get right back on track. Okay, now take a deep breath, because as that initial spike of adrenaline finally settles down, we inevitably fall back on something deeply familiar, something ingrained in us since we were kids: Plan B. Now, it is objectively, universally good to have a reliable backup. We really have to validate that planner's mindset right here, because having a safety net is quite literally what keeps our modern world functioning. Think about it. Plan B is the unsung hero of our entire economy. It's the exact reason hospitals have backup generators and airlines have contingency routes. On a personal level, it's that spare tire sitting in your trunk. It's the compact umbrella stuffed at the very bottom of your work bag. Plan B is reliable, it is grounded, it's predictable, and it is entirely necessary for navigating the countless complexities of our modern lives without just completely falling apart. And this perfectly illustrates exactly why we cling to our backup plans in the first place. I mean, we are definitely not advocating for some reckless abandonment of all your daily responsibilities just for the sake of being spontaneous, right? Practical stability is absolutely needed. Let's say you have this massive presentation at work, literally the biggest of your career. You step up to the podium and bam, the projector completely dies. Total technology failure. But because you were prepared, you effortlessly pull out these neatly printed handouts for everyone in the room. That right there is Plan B in action. It provides vital stability, it acts as that necessary backup that effectively resolves the immediate crisis. It stops the bleeding, it keeps you employed, and it gets you through the meeting, ensuring that the wheels of your life just keep on turning. But let's be honest and challenge this idea for a second. If letting go of the plan is supposed to be this incredibly magical, liberating thing, we really have to ask the difficult question: when does letting go just become a total disaster? Like, when does jumping all the way to Plan Z turn into an unmanageable mess? Because look, if we consistently ignore our carefully built schedules, if we're just missing our trains on purpose every single day, and habitually abandoning our commitments to our friends and colleagues, we aren't actually experiencing the joy of serendipity. We're just creating exhausting chaos. If everyone lived purely on unscripted whims, literally nothing of substance would ever get built. There is a very real, well-documented fatigue that comes with constant spontaneity. You just cannot drift endlessly through life without some kind of foundational compass to guide your larger goals. So the crucial point here is figuring out this exact, super delicate balance. How do we safely navigate those entirely unexpected detours without completely losing our way? Well, it's about standing right on the tightrope between the very real, practical need for stability, that sturdy plan B that keeps you functioning, and the spontaneous thrill of serendipity. Navigating this tightrope requires this psychological trait known as cognitive flexibility. It's basically the ability to pivot your mindset in real time without deeply grieving the loss of your original plan A. It requires a mental shift where you realize, hey, a sudden disruption to my perfectly crafted schedule doesn't mean my entire day is inherently ruined. Actually, it just means the day has changed shape. And it is entirely up to you to decide exactly how you're going to engage with that newly formed shape. So let's imagine you've accepted that delay. You missed your train, you couldn't grab a cab because the surge pricing was just astronomical. You are officially stuck waiting for 45 minutes. But in that forced, unscripted pause, instead of just staring angrily at your phone screen, you look across the street. And there, tucked right between two larger buildings, you discover this incredibly cute, warmly lit little cafe that you normally would have rushed right past on your hurried commute. You can almost smell the freshly roasted beans from the sidewalk. You wander inside, not because you planned to, but simply because your schedule was delayed. You've suddenly stepped completely outside the rigid and visible boundaries of your itinerary. And because of that single choice, the environment around you opens up in a completely new, wonderfully inviting way. And maybe, just maybe, as you're standing inside that warm cafe waiting for your unplanned coffee, you end up having an amazing chance encounter. You strike up a genuinely interesting conversation with a complete stranger in line. Or, incredibly, you run into an old friend from college that you literally haven't seen in over 5 years. Let's just slow down for a second and really appreciate the profound rarity of a moment like this. This is a deeply human experience that happens strictly by accident. I mean, throughout history, some of humanity's greatest discoveries, from penicillin to the microwave oven, were born entirely out of accidental, off-scheduled moments. If your schedule had held up flawlessly, if you had sprinted and successfully made that earlier train, this incredible moment of genuine connection would quite literally never have existed in the timeline of your life. Which brings us to this truly transformative concept known as radical openness. Now, yes, as we established, Plan B is good and necessary, but what if we approach our daily lives with more of an improvisational yes and mentality? Like, what if we are actively open to Plan C? What if we excitedly explore the possibilities of Plan D? What if we are willing to embrace even the total unknown of Plan Z? Achieving this isn't just about saying yes to visiting a random cafe. It requires a fundamental rewiring of how we view our time. Instead of seeing time merely as these rigid blocks on a calendar that have to be filled and executed, we've got to start seeing it as an open landscape to explore. When you unlock your mind from the rigid binary of Plan A or Plan B, you suddenly unlock this boundless potential, giving the universe permission to surprise you in ways a spreadsheet literally never could. Now, what's really fascinating about this comparison is how perfectly these two opposing forces frame our entire daily existence. On one side, we have our anchor, our practical need for control, safety, and predictability. This is Plan B. This is the structural foundation that keeps our lives from just floating away into the ether. But on the other side, we have the paper airplane, the unplannable, whimsical thrill of absolute serendipity. That's Plan Z. One force reliably gets the job done and pays the bills, while the other force offers an entirely new, vibrant way of seeing the world around us. And you know what? These are not enemies. In fact, realizing that both the anchor and the paper airplane have a vital, complementary place in your life is the ultimate key to mastering the unexpected detour. You absolutely need the anchor to stay grounded, but you desperately need the airplane to discover where the wind might take you. Because ultimately, there is a profound, almost terrifying beauty in releasing your impossibly tight grip on control. We spend so much of our daily energy fearing the loss of our anchor, terrified of what happens if we drift even slightly off course. But when you finally allow yourself to step boldly into that entirely unknown, unscripted space, that is precisely where the magic happens. It really is a vital, life-altering mindset shift. We desperately need to stop viewing disrupted plans purely as frustrating obstacles or annoying roadblocks that are just designed to ruin our day. Sometimes, and honestly very often, those entirely unexpected detours lead to the absolute best experiences of our lives. They are actual physical gateways to beauty and spontaneity hiding right there in plain sight. In our modern world, our smartphones and our color-coded schedules essentially act as blinders. They keep us hyper-focused only on what is immediately in front of us. But an unexpected detour, it forces those blinders off. It forces us to look up from our screens, to actively look around at the rich texture of our surroundings, and to finally participate in the world as it is authentically happening, rather than how we rigidly planned it to be. The absolute best, most memorable experiences in life are so often the ones you could literally never have planned on a calendar. The ones that simply arrive, completely unannounced and beautiful. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to carry into the rest of your day, and I want you to really think about it. The next time your meticulously crafted schedule falls apart, instead of rushing to frantically fix it, just take a deep breath and look around. What incredible, magical, and totally unscripted experiences might you be blocking out right now simply because you're gripping your original plan just a little too tightly?